You know what I realized? There's no one who's ever really brought up organ trafficking on the JRE. Until now, we have Mariana van Zeller, episode 1938, 2 hours, 46 minutes, 23 seconds in. She starts talking about the organ trade and how it really exists. And you know what? When we bring stuff like this up in certain people or circles, it's conspiracy. But what she's about to talk about right now is all too real, all too serious, and happening as we speak. Let's get into the clip. Coach Colin, coolest high-performance coach in the world. And if you want the absolute best breakdowns to the videos and podcasts you like and love, hit subscribe. Let's go.
Do you cover this season or anything that's like particularly bizarre or
Yeah,
disturbing?
we did one on organs. The first episode of the season was organ trafficking.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That one scares the shit out of me.
It was the first episode, and it was, I think it all we all think it's a rumor, and it can't really exist, and it's a Hollywood depiction of stuff going on.
Oh, I don't think it's a rumor.
But that doesn't really exist. But when I started looking into this story, I was like, is this really a thing? And then we found out it really is a thing. So we traveled to Colombia and Mexico and here in the U.S., and we spent time filming people involved in the trade. And I think one of the most disturbing interviews I ever did was with a guy in Colombia called The Wrecker, which his name is El Deshuesador, which means the wrecker or the deboner. He takes the bones. Yeah, it's a horrible name, Deshuesador. And he works for the clan, and we got to him. When you watch the cocaine episode, we interviewed a commander in Colombia who was part of the cocaine trade. And it was basically through him and some other contacts that we got an interview with this guy. And it was horrible because he's telling us how he does what he does. And so much of it was so horrific that I had a hard time actually believing what he was saying.
Like, what was he saying?
How he cuts people alive, how he takes the organs. So I was asking him questions like, how exactly do you take an, like if you're talking about a liver, like how exactly do you take a liver from somebody? I wanted him to explain to me, but do you have any medical training? And again, one of the difficult things with the show that we do is corroborating what people are telling us. So with him, I kept on asking him, because it takes so long to even get this one person to talk to us. So how do we corroborate what he's saying? So I kept on asking him, exactly how do you operate on them, and how do you, and all of this is I'm very transparent about all of this. And in the show, I talk about not being absolutely 100% sure that what he's telling me is true or not. But he then showed me a video of them with a person and, some body parts, some organs coming out of. But again, it is very hard to corroborate because it could have been a dead body, and they were taking organs from a dead body, which in that case wouldn't be viable for transplant unless it would have just died. So there's a lot of questions there. The video is really horrific, and we decided not to air it, even though I sort of talk a little bit about what I'm seeing, but we decided not to air the video. But it was horrible because, again, with trying to always empathize and understand why people do what they do, this one was impossible. There was no part of me that I understood what he did. And that's why it was so much disbelief. But then we find out that this trade is very much alive. And we eventually landed an interview with a doctor in Mexico who told us how he's part of the whole ordeal. And he is actually, in his case, we were able to corroborate a lot more. And he was a doctor with medical expertise. And then with a patient who had gotten one of these organs on the black market. And he looked me in the eye and he said, I know you're judging me, but what would you do if it was you or your loved one, and you know that they would be dying? Essentially, in the U.S., there's 17 people every day that die waiting for an organ. 17 people every single day that wait for years. Their organ never happens, never comes, and then they die. So that's why a black market exists, because there are desperate people out there who desperately need an organ and know that they're going to die if they don't have one. And so that's what he was saying. What would you do in this situation? I was like, yeah, 100%. I don't. It's a very good question. I have no idea what I would do. Would I buy an organ for my kid if he needed a kidney and he was about to die? Would I buy it on the black market? I think that's the questions that I think are important that I ask and that the show asks of people.
Where are they getting these people?
So the wrecker, El Deshuesador, said a lot of the people that the victims were actually migrants. So we spent time right on the south of the Darien Gap. Do you know what the Darien Gap is?
No.
It's the most dangerous, lawless part of the world. It's the only part. There's basically a road that connects all the way South America up to north to Canada, and there's one patch where the engineers were never be able to construct a road, which is this Darien Gap. It's a massive jungle with horrible conditions, very wet, and right now full of cartel members that are preying upon the migrants that are crossing, that spend days, sometimes even weeks, trying to cross. It's up hills and muddy, and people die of dehydration, and they're killed by the cartel. Women are raped. It's a horrific, horrific journey. So we spent time filming right on the south as they were all these hundreds of migrants were about to make their way into the Darien Gap to try to make it to the United States. And that's where he said, and it was really horrible stories, as you can imagine, right? People traveling with their babies, with their kids, and they're about to go through the most horrific experience of their life, and dangerous. And people, families get separated, kids lose their parents. It's a horrible, horrible situation. And so this Wisadora, the wrecker, was telling us how that's because if they go missing, nobody reports them. It's like the easy prey, right? And then we were able to interview a policeman who actually corroborated what we were saying. He didn't want to be on camera because it was too scary for him, because he was afraid the cartel was going to go after him. But he told us, essentially, with a mask, he told us, yeah, I know that this trade is happening right here and that the migrants are the victims. Oh. It's really awful. It's horrible, horrible, horrible.
So they find these people, they find their blood type, and then
they do all sorts of tests on people, and they find out if they're good or bad for the certain organ. And then not all the organs are coming to the U.S. Some of them stay in Colombia for whoever pays more in Colombia or Panama or other countries around there, Mexico, and some of them. Particularly the stuff that is being harvested in Mexico, either American patients go down there and get their operations done there. Usually that's how it happens. It's not like the organ travels to the United States. The patients go to these places to get their organs. And one of the guys we filmed with was this amazing guy called Garrett Rowe, who has a kidney disease, and for 5 years has been waiting for an organ. He's young, 30-something-year-old, married, amazing guy, and has to spend half of his day linked up to a dialysis machine, and can't work, can't sleep well. It's a horrible way to live. And he knows that the usual average life is 7 years. So you don't live much past 7 years with this condition. And so he had like 2 more years to go if he didn't get a kidney. So we filmed with him before. And then the good news of the story was that he just got a kidney through a triangle where his wife wasn't able to donate to him because they're not the same type, but she was able to donate to somebody else who eventually donated to him. It was like it's called I can't remember what it's called, but a donor triangle or something like that, a donor circle. And he was able to get a kidney, but he was one of the people we asked, like, would you consider the black market? He says, if a few more years pass by, if I'm at the edge and I know I'm about to die, 100%. But of course, there are people willing to donate their or to sell their organs. They don't have to be killed. There are actually people willing to sell their organs. You go online and you can find people all over the world saying, I need money. I have a healthy kidney. I'm willing to sell it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I know, that's dark. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring it down.
No, you brought it down the whole day.
Yo, but like, straight up, when it comes to organ donors, you ever heard of? Has anybody ever told you like don't be one? I know that sounds like harsh, right? But like, when you do that, you're on a list, and somebody might look at that list and be like, well, that person's on that list. And if something happens to them, well, then I know their organs are going to be available. And has been like little stories here and there, of certain things happening to people who are on the list, and all of a sudden their organs become available. And the thing that happens to them is not an accident. It seems like an accident, but it's not. I stay off that list myself. I got way too good of genes. My blood's really, really iron rich. I don't need all of that mess. Somebody will be looking at this list being like, this guy is perfect. No. Not on the list. None of anybody who I can get off that list, I get them off that list. I know that sounds terrible. Sorry. But I will say this. What would you do if you were at that guy's position where you had a few more years to live, or you needed a transplant and you had the money, what would you do? Would you go to the black market, even though you know it's like the way that they're getting it is like forceful, for lack of a better word? I don't know. I remember me and my brother were talking about this, and he was like, you think people really do that? You think people would, someone needs a heart, they'll like kill somebody and like take a heart? And I'm like, if I had Elon Musk's money, I was talking to my brother, and I'm like, and you needed a heart, and there was no one to give you that heart, I'm like, I would make sure you got one. I don't know how, but I would make sure, because you're my brother. Obviously, I'm going to do that. Like, what would you do? Like, your mom's going to pass away. You can't find a liver, but you know that this thing's available and you have the funds to actually get one. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people would do it. There's a reason why that market is like steadily running. I mean, she was talking to a person who had the name, the Wrecker or the Reckoner or the Reaper or whatever. Guy's cutting people open alive and stuff. Like, oh man, what a life, eh? There's no way that guy who she was talking about grew up knowing that he'd be doing something like that one day. Isn't that wild? Like right now, you and I, like we have like plans of what we're going to be doing, and you have no idea what's going to happen. You might be like, yeah, and I'm going to go to nursing school and it's going to be great. Or yeah, I'm going to figure out tool and die. And like all of a sudden 10 years from now, you're just like doing something completely different. You know what I mean? Like nobody who's an assassin thinks they're going to end up an assassin. Like that guy never thought one day, I don't go to medical school, but one day I'm going to be cutting people open and taking organs. No one thinks that. It's such a wild ride, life, man. Such a wild ride. But what would you do? I think you do it. I don't even know you, and I think you do it. 100% I think you do it. You'd be like, well, it's my mom. Well, it's my brother. Well, it's my wife. Well, it's my kid. My kid? No way I'm not doing it. No way I'm not doing it. I'll pay extra for rush delivery. Pfft, you kidding me? My kid? My little baby? Kidding me? Get me two. I don't know. In case he needs it. Yeah, put one on ice. Straight up. And that's what a lot of those people think that are in this, that are accessing the black market. They're like, what am I supposed to do? Not have my family, like have my family member pass away because I didn't want to do something or have somebody else do something that I'm so far removed from. If you go to the store and you buy some steak, you're indirectly looking at somebody saying, listen, I need some cows to die. I need them to die before 6:00 Thursday because we're having dinner. The in-laws are coming over. That's what you're saying. When you get your bacon, you're saying, hey, man, I just need you guys to kill a bunch of pigs. I don't care which ones, young, old, I don't care. I need some pig by tomorrow morning. That's all. You know what I mean? It's true. And indirectly, this is something they talk about in this podcast. When you're using your phone, when you're like, I need a new phone, you're indirectly saying, I need some slaves in the Congo, to chip off some cobalt for my rechargeable battery for my cell phone. I need it. When you get Nikes, you're indirectly saying to somebody, listen, I know he's 7 years old, but can he make an Air Jordan or not? Oh, he can? Well, then make me 2 pairs, please. Like, you are. It's an unavoidable thing. It's a wild thing. I'm trying to get myself in the camera here. It's an unavoidable thing, but we all do it indirectly. So it's like the organ stuff is terrible, but I don't know. When you need an organ, you're basically saying, I hope somebody is passing away. Right? When you're on that list, you're saying, I'm hoping somebody on that organ donor list dies. You don't want to see somebody go through all those horrible things I just said, but at the same time, you want what you want for the people that you love. Life is a wild, wild little ride, man. Wild. All right, I'm out. Check it out. Link in the description. Great podcast. Absolutely amazing. And check out her show. It's called Trafficked. It's dope. Mariana van Zeller. Peace.